The next one that I want to go over is phishing. And, phishing can come in many different forms. They can come in emails, text messages, social media, phone calls, fraudulent websites, malicious software. There are other forms of communication as well. And that these can come in, and basically what they're looking for or what they're trying to gain are, user credentials, login passwords, personal information, or the private keys for your crypto, right? To steal your Bitcoin or other crypto or other digital assets, right? And so a couple examples here are like a text message from Coinbase, right? Or some other legitimate exchange saying, your account has been locked due to suspicious activity, right? And we require you to immediately change your password or log in, with your details. And like a legitimate exchange is never going to ask you to do this. The only thing that they're going to send, if there is a suspected hack or some type of security vulnerability, is they're going to say like, hey, we got, your user information was potentially compromised, but they're never going to ask you like with a direct link to say like, you need to change your password right here and this is where you go. Typically, like these links are going to go to some kind of fraudulent website or mobile app or whatever it is, and those are going to steal your passwords or usernames, or you'll go onto some website that looks something like Coinbase or another legit exchange, but it's not going to be Coinbase, and they're just going to steal your information. So just be wary of that. And these types can come in text messages, emails. These can be even on like social media. So just keep an eye out for those. I've seen a few. It's just kind of they're out there. Another one is if you have like a cold wallet, so like a Ledger or Trezor or what's that new one, like Arculus, I guess it is, or Cold Card. There's all kinds of different cold wallets. But basically the scam is to get you to download some type of software claiming a vulnerability, and it will either hack your actual Ledger or cold wallet, or B, they'll ask you for your PIN or your your seed phrase, which are your private keys, something, and so Ledger, Trezor, any of these companies, they're never going to ask you for this. The only thing that they're going to say is like, we have a new update for our software. That's it, right? So you log into the software, or they send out an email and they say, we have a new update for our software, and that's it. They're never going to ask you to go to a website or ask for private keys or anything like that. So phishing is an attempt to get confidential information from you in an attempt to steal your digital assets, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever it may be. These are just a couple examples. There are plenty more, but I just wanted to show you a couple of interesting ones that I found. The next type of scam is an initial coin offering scam. And an initial coin offering is, the crypto industry's version of an IPO, which is an initial public offering. So, crypto company is looking to raise money to create either a new coin, some kind of like decentralized app or crypto service. And they launch this ICO as a way to raise funds, so they don't have to take like a large investor in and potentially like a piece of the company, that kind of type of thing. So investors, you can buy into the offering, receive, usually like a new cryptocurrency token that's issued by this company. It may have some type of utility or product, service, something like that the company's offering. But these ICOs, because of lack of regulations, scammers tend to target and have targeted investors using various schemes. And I'll show you a couple examples here. These are some of the more prominent ones, but Bitcoin with two eyes, which I thought it was really funny, but the reason it was effective is because it looks like Bitcoin, right? And it's just a misspelling. And so they've raised $75 million from investors. And they also somehow got Steven Seagal as their like celebrity brand ambassador. I'm sure they'd like paid him millions of dollars or whatever. I don't know what it was. But, you know, really all they did was just added an I, and it's like, it's the new Bitcoin, and they got a lot of money. So, but they didn't have any technology from what I understand, or it was just a very like vague project. And so this is just a great example of a straight up scam. But they use the celebrity brand ambassador to their advantage to get investors and saying like, oh, Steven Seagal's involved in this. Okay, well, like it must be legit. Not necessarily. I read about a different one where I think it was like DJ Khaled was involved in some kind of scam, some kind of crypto scam. I'm not sure which project, but the brand ambassadors get scammed too. So anybody can get scammed. Another example is Ifan and Pincoin, and from what I understand, they were put out by the same company, but they scammed, you know, more than $600 million from ICO investors, and through various companies, and they were very sneaky about it, and they got away with a lot. So it's just to do due diligence on ICOs. I mean, one thing that you could do, and I talk about it a little bit later on, is ICOs that are done outside of legitimate exchanges. It's just a higher risk for the investment if you do decide to invest. Whereas, let's say a coin gets listed on Coinbase, right? But it's their initial exchange offering. It's much more legitimate because Coinbase has a lot of checks, a lot of they do a massive audit on each project that they bring in, because they're liable to sell to investors, right? And so if it's listed there, it's been vetted properly, right? And so ICOs, it's just high risk, right? And so, and even if the company is legit, right, the company could fail, right? And so you may invest a bunch of money, but if the company goes down, well, there's all the value. So it's just very high risk. But there was a big craze. I believe it was 2018 was a big year for ICOs. Kind of very reminiscent of the .com bubble as well, where, you know, everybody was doing an IPO and had like a tech company, whether they had technology or not. And so just something to look out for. The next type of scam is a social media scam. And these are very, very common. You know, I've had, I'm sure somewhere between like 15 and 20 different people like try to reach out to me saying they're like, oh, I'm a professional crypto trader, or like I'm a, you know, Forex person, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, or they try to impersonate somebody like, I don't know if you guys know Boss Coin, but he's a popular like YouTube crypto miner. Somebody like reached out and was like, hey, I'm Boss Coin. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, no. It's like, but they'll try to use, you know, professional crypto personalities. They will impersonate celebrities in an attempt to give themselves credibility so that their victims think that what they're offering is legitimate, right? And they may go even so far as to hack, say, real social media profiles, you know, high profile individuals, you know, Jeff Bezos, Barack Obama, Elon Musk, they've all had their accounts hacked and used, you know, and asked their followers to send them crypto, right? as a scam. And so, just be wary of social media, people offering, oh, I'll double your money if you send me, $1,000 in Ethereum or whatever. It's like, those types of things just don't happen. If it's too good to be true, just like run. Or send it to me. You can send it to me all day. Like I will love to rip things apart and tell you if it's good or not. This is another one that I've come across quite often. And it's called a fake giveaway. And companies will claim that they have, thousands of Ethereum or Bitcoin or some other type of crypto. And they say, oh, there's going to be extraordinary gains, or this is an airdrop, or it's like once in a lifetime opportunity. But they require an upfront deposit, with a quote unquote guaranteed higher return. So like this one specifically, it's like, oh yeah, send us, half to 10 ETH and we'll send you back immediately. Okay, well, they're just going to take your ETH and run, right? They're not going to send anything back. And then they go so far as to say, it's like, what is it, like 3, if you send 3 ETH or more, your bonus will be doubled. Like, it's just, these happen all the time. These are on social media, there are emails, websites, all kinds of stuff. Just like be wary of them. And just like my common line, my common sense line, especially in this industry, is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if they ask for anything up front, and promise doubling or tripling your money or like some ridiculous guarantee or promise, it's probably a scam. Like at the end of the day, like these fake giveaways, like they're just looking to make as much money as they can, and they're going to get away with it, right? And so it's really a numbers game to them. So the next type is a fraudulent exchange. Crypto exchanges, specifically this type, are exchanges, and they appear to be legitimate, but in fact, they steal, either customer funds, so if you deposit, like say, United States dollars or euros or whatever it is, or your private keys, or your crypto, or all three, right? And this can be due to a lack of regulatory oversight, that most, traditional brokerage firms or banks or investment firms, or, if you're listed on, say, like the New York Stock Exchange, you wouldn't be able to do this, right? You have to be legit. There are a lot of checks and balances. And so really for fraudulent exchanges, what you really want to look out for is, any exchange that operates outside of, like, say, top tier jurisdictions such as like the UK, United States, Japan, Australia. It's possible that it may be fraudulent, or that they're not in compliance with the current regulations, right? And so maybe they don't do KYC, right? And so those are things to look out for. A couple of examples. BitKRX. There was the South Korean platform Korea Exchange, which is one of the largest and legitimate, crypto exchanges. This company BitKRX used that name, similar to a like a celebrity, right? This is the same thing, but a business, right? So they're using that name and saying, hey, we're associated with KRX, we're called BitKRX, and made the investors, invest, because of the name, and then they eventually lost their money, right? And so, but I'm sure, they weren't doing KYC, and it's operating outside of, the regulations and requirements for traditional exchanges. And the more I'll say legitimate exchanges that have to, report KYC and AML and all these other regulatory requirements for financial institutions. And so, it's just be careful out there. I've been on a lot of exchanges that don't do KYC. It's kind of the Wild West out there, I'll say. It really is. And so just be mindful. Typically, if you're trading, you don't do KYC, it's high risk. It could go either way. It could be fraud. It could be legit. It's hard to say. These are just this is just a small list of fraud exchanges that I found. There are plenty more. These are just like a couple. And I can send this list out if you want after the presentation. But these types of exchanges happen all the time. And the other example, what is it? Fodex was a legit exchange, but they got rug pulled. And so, it's hard to, but it's because they were, it's a Turkish exchange, right? And so they don't have the same regulations and requirements as they do, say, if your exchange was here in the United States, or if it was in the United Kingdom or Japan, et cetera. So